Evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Just going to let this run for 30 seconds before we get going. Apologies, we're a bit late. Tim, as usual. It's Thursday, 1st of April, 2021. In today's show, we're joined by Rich Pullen of the Swindon pod, The Loathed Stranger. Rich is going to help us preview the Good Friday clash between Town and Poole, which is a vital match for both clubs. We're also going to be discussing season running, catching up on all the latest news, including BTS Shirts, the Mucks 5-side tournament. And I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seaside's podcast episode, Don't Know the Number, Swindon and The Run-in. Bang, there they are. They're the guys. Welcome everybody back to the Seasiders podcast. This is a standard podcast episode that we're giving you the pleasure of joining us in our live recording studio, and joining us on the pod is the friend of the pod, Rich Pullen from The Loathed Stranger. Rich, thanks ever so much for coming on, given the fact you're struggling with, is it 2 days of no sleep thanks to a young teething child?
Yeah, 2 plus 5 more. I think last Friday was where it all started. So we are sleep deprived in this house, but we ramble on. But thank you for having me. This is posh, isn't it? This is all right.
It was an upgrade from last time, I think. Yeah, we're going up in the world, just like Blackpool's fortunes.
Yeah, and I look like Swindon's fortunes, so you know it works pretty well.
Nick could get a game for centre half for Swindon if that's the case. Apologies, Nick.
He could.
Yeah, I could.
It's Tony Beats or Nick Smith. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening. Yeah, I've trimmed my beard. Actually, it's
a
bit of a trim. Yeah, can't get in the hairdressers till the 23rd of April, so we're gonna have to put up with the. What is it now? Bowl mullet for a little bit longer.
A bullet. It looks a bit like a bullet. It could be a bowl mullet. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Rich, you described your hair as a lazy new romantic, which I thought was quite funny.
Yeah, I stand by it as well. You know, just not I used to do that when I was a kid as well. When all the kids had like the in fashion hairstyles, I sort of went halfway there and then bottled it and ended up with something in between. So yeah.
You're not old enough to be a new romantic.
No, not at all. But you know, I'm learned with popular culture.
Learned.
See what I did there?
We've got a feature on this show called Timisms, by the way, Rich. Tim's a lawyer by trade, so he comes out with all these big posh long words every now and then.
Like
so
learned.
I'm sure.
When you're least expecting it.
Yeah. So yeah, you've come in with a Timism already on two and a half days lacking of sleep. So well done.
Thank you very much. I wish I was a lawyer though.
Yeah, you should see his kitchen. Should see his kitchen, Rich. All these like Bond gadgets.
I'm still in the crypt though at the moment.
Vampire by night, lawyer by day, blood-sucking lawyer by day. That was Tim Fielding.
Vampire by day, vampire by night.
Boom, boom. Where's that little? Where's your little musical interlude there? You need one of them on.
I've got one. I've lost the moment now, haven't I? Yeah.
Oh, you have really. Yeah, you're gonna be.
Yeah.
You've been straight on with that. Straight on with it.
So yeah, Tim, you've even got a red blood-sucking top on. I can see there. Or is that tangerine?
Tangerine.
Is it?
We're me and Tim are sponsored by Lacoste tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Got a little croc on.
You've got a little croc on. Ooh, is that because we're near the playoffs?
Excitement of the pod.
I'm ashamed that I laughed at that.
We need the tumbleweed music for that one, don't we?
It only goes downhill from here, Rich.
Yeah, don't know it.
But it was actually funny that, so I've only demonstrated the tumbleweed there. It didn't warrant the tumbleweed. Anyway, Matt, good evening. Thanks for coming on at the last minute, and thanks for putting together this brilliant season run-in that we're going to discuss after Rich is pissed off.
Yeah, well, after this week, I'm just glad I'm here in one piece. Christ almighty, I was falling to bits on Monday and Tuesday. Back went, twatted myself on a forefinger with a hammer trying to be fucking Nick Knowles in the back garden. And then I've had the shits all morning, so it's been a brilliant week so far.
But apart from that, you're fine, yeah?
Apart from that, and of course, running around getting bloody kids to taekwondo, it's bloody normality's coming back with a vengeance. Really.
What Richard give for having that for his main problem with his child, just getting them to taekwondo rather than sleeping is just being a pleasure, isn't it?
I'd do anything for the shits right now compared to what I've had the last.
Yeah, at least it's my own that I'm tidying up.
Best intro ever. People say you shouldn't do preambles on podcasts. I say you do. Just like that captain on Blackadder. Right, anyway, everybody, welcome everybody on the stream. Welcome everybody in the comments. Riggs has just said, where's the cap, John? I just thought I'd display my comedy hair this evening. I think it's like one of these, a microphone cover. So there it is. Evening, Ray. Evening, coach. Big weekend, and gents. I'm sure you'll hail me as the next Peb or Graham Wesley come 5 p.m. That's right.
It's fine lines, isn't it, between Pep and Graham Wesley?
Do you know who Graham Wesley is, by the way, Rich?
Oh, of course.
Oh, right, brilliant. Yeah.
Of course, Stevenage guy, right?
Yeah.
And all the other teams.
And Nobber as well.
Yeah, he went on famously to manage Preston.
The text message, yeah.
It was an absolute disaster. So yeah, we do love him for that. Right, on with the show then, everybody. So, Rich, just to introduce yourself for those who don't know you, may not have listened to our earlier show. Just introduce yourself. Give us the backstory to the Loathed Stranger. Obviously, it's a Swindon podcast.
Yeah,
I'm more interested in the name because I remember it was from the Fever Pitch book, the Arsenal book.
It is from Fever Pitch. So Loathed Stranger is a reference from the chapter in Nick Hornby's Fever Pitch, where he is at Swindon versus Arsenal in 1969 League Cup final, and he talks about when he was a kid looking around the grounds and around him. He didn't really notice what the supporters were like until Swindon scored, and then he heard all the hideous West Country accents, gleefully celebrating the goal. And then he said he never loathed strangers more than he loathed them at that moment in time. So that's where the Loathed Strangers comes from. Yeah.
Tim, that's very you, isn't it? That kind of podcast.
It's almost there's a thespian element to that, isn't there?
I knew he'd like
that. Quite impressed.
The biggest problem with it is no one can bloody say it, including myself. So I had Jan Fjortoff doing a little sting for the pod, and it just turned into a bit in the end because he just couldn't say Loathed Strangers at all. And he's not the first, and he won't be the last. But it works, even though it's like this double negative. It kind of works well, doesn't it?
Completely original as well. So, Rich, obviously, it's the Swindon. You're the Swindon Town main podcaster, etc. So, we did have a chat pre-season. Obviously, there was all the bants, inverted commas, about us nicking all your players, and we were joking. Yes, technically only one. You are correct. We were joking. Wouldn't it be funny if we played each other really early in the season? And lo and behold, it was one of the first games. Was it the first home game at Bloomfield Road? Something like the 19th of September, anyway, in front of a handful of fans. And it seems a hell of a long time since then.
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Because normally when you play a team right at the start, you sort of play them late of the calendar year, early sort of January, Feb. But here we are in April, and we're getting around to the return fixture. It feels like an eternity ago. I'd love to listen back to see if I was in any way optimistic. I might have said mid-table, pushing for playoffs if we're lucky. How stupid do I look now? But I definitely also said that I didn't think Blackpool would do much this year either. So that could go either way. But it's looking good for you guys.
You were right to a certain extent. After the first six, 7 games, I think we on here were berating the signs, berating the manager, berating Jerry Yates even.
And who was the only team you beat in that run?
Swindon.
Exactly. You're welcome, mate. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable.
So it'd be a bit remiss of me if we didn't talk about Richie Wellens to start with. Obviously, it was was it a big factor in your slide down the table? Because you started the season reasonably well, sort of averaging mid-table, slightly above, and then Richie's gone. So tell us a story about Richie and why he left and how it's affected your season.
Yeah, well, Richie was very, very popular, obviously, because we'd won League Two. So, he won League Two playing good football, and the squads were all immensely popular, and we all sort of drank the Kool-Aid in a way. But it became apparent during pre-season that things weren't going his way or the club's way in terms of the transfer market. So, things like Jerry Yates leaving, not signing permanently, even though I'm not convinced he was ever going to join if there was the money on the table. And you could tell round about August, September that Richie Wellens' sort of tone in interviews was becoming a little bit, he's quite dour anyway, but it was getting a bit more bleak. And something that we'd always sort of joked or sort of mentioned in passing on the pod is, we'll be worried when Salford need a manager. And
really?
Yeah, we did. And it was but it was purely on the basis that he was bloody from that area. It wasn't for any other reason. And then he went, and we were sliding already. It's not fair to point the finger solely on John Sheridan. Things weren't right when he left, and that's one of the reasons why he did leave. I think I think his season with Oldham, where he took him down into League Two, might have spooked him a bit and didn't want to risk another League One relegation on his CV. So, that hampers his future aspirations. So he went and took, the job at Salford with his heroes, the people that he would have trained with when he was a young Manchester United pro. And it just didn't work out. He didn't really, you keep an eye on him. And he didn't strengthen the side in January with his own signings at all. A couple of loan players, and that was it. And I think that the problem that he had there is he refused to adopt a style that Mr. Gary Neville wanted. But, it's one of those things. The biggest victim in all of this is Swindon Town, because I'm convinced if Wellens would have stayed, we wouldn't be in as bad a situation as we are now. I think there are definitely some games that we lost. We wouldn't have played to the style that Mr. Sheridan plays, and we might have got something. But it's all hypothetical. But it was a huge moment in the season, and ever since then, it's been sort of deflating and largely awful. But yet, we've lost 22 games in the league this season, and we're not doomed yet. And that just tells you what League One's like down there at the moment. And it's that we have no right to have lost 22 games over 37 and be top of the relegation sort of pack that we're dubbing it. So, there's hope, but that hope has only come in the last week because we won back-to-back games. And, after Gillingham, John Sheridan had said to the media that he'd run out of ideas and was contemplating his future. How many managers survived that statement? None of them do. But then he came in on Monday, like nothing happened, and somehow he's won 2 games. So, it's just, sometimes when you're rubbish or you have a rubbish season as a fan, you just want us to be 24th and just know that nothing's happening. But at the moment, we're having this sort of, we're down, oh, hang on, we're down, oh, hang on, we're down. And it's just, you don't know whether you're coming or going at the moment. But we've put ourselves in a much better situation in the last couple of weeks or last week.
Rich, what's the style of play been like under Sheridan? Has it changed dramatically from Richie Wellens?
Yeah, Richie Wellens played a far prettier brand of football. John Sheridan is, it's a bit. The fans have been calling him the Sheridactyl. Because of his dinosaur philosophies.
So we used to call Simon Grayson the dinosaur. Not as a witty name though, just the dinosaur.
No, Joe, the pterodactyl approach. He's not come to Swindon to play pretty football. He's come to Swindon to try and keep them up. It's been an absolute shit show. But if he keeps them up, he'll get my thanks as long as he leaves at the end of the season. He plays a much more direct game. He sent arguably our best player, who was Matt Smith, on loan from Arsenal. He sent him back because he wasn't good. He wasn't going to. Yeah, you did a bloody good job. You did a bloody good job in the first half of the season, but you got sent back to Arsenal and now at Charlton sitting on the bench. But
I've let myself go a bit since as well. You'll see.
It's all right. Yeah, they say it's grim up north, but in the south, it's just as bad. It does Asia. It does. So it's really weird because I know what will happen if he keeps him up. Our owner, Lee Power, will go on BBC Radio Wiltshire and just absolutely lap it up as if he's some sort of, master of managerial recruitment. But there's no way the way it's unfolded is the way Sheridan wanted it to go. The guy had run out of ideas until he stuck Anthony Grant at centre-back. And it's really changed. The last two games, it's made a huge difference. And before, he wasn't playing Anthony Grant because there's been some sort of falling out, which has happened to a few players
as well, weren't we? We were after Anthony Grant as well.
We don't know if it was genuine. I mean, Alan Nixon, the journalist, said it was genuine, but Keshi Anderson sort of stoked those flames, didn't he, with his 1, 2, 3. And he would have been a brilliant signing.
Uno, dos, tres. It was.
Yeah, I'm not bilingual. I didn't want to get the order wrong. I would have said something stupid. Yeah, but Grant's come back and he's doing brilliantly.
So speaking of Keshi, have you been keeping tabs on your ex-players at Blackpool, as clubs tend to do, don't you? Obviously, there was a bit more spice with Blackpool and Swindon this year.
There was no spice. It was just a few teenagers.
Just a little sprinkling.
It was getting just demoralising that every day we were being linked. It's funny because I found out that our right back Paul Caddis lives in your area and has never been linked to you. It's quite funny. I think he lives in Lytham.
Lytham, yeah.
Lytham. Yeah, lives in Lytham and never been linked to Blackpool, which is remarkable considering. But he's out for the season now, isn't he?
Although he's back in training, we never know. He said Keshi.
Is he?
I only saw it today.
It seemed like his season was playing out like a typical Keshi Anderson season. Moments of greatness followed by several more moments of nothingness, which is the Keshi Anderson way.
I think he's for us. I think the jury's out, isn't he, gents? On Keshi, he's not pulled up any trees.
No, I don't think we're clamouring for him to come back, are we?
He was in the I could put it, the unsuccessful era of this season, wasn't he? Really, the first 9 or 10 games he played, and apart from the game against Swindon, I think that was our only win, as far as I remember. But I still think there's a player in there, and annoyingly, the way we're playing at the moment, I can sort of see him slotting into like an Embleton sort of role, which I know the other guys will maybe appreciate. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that irrespective, you always want a lad to come in from a different club and hit the ground running, and it just never really happened for him, unfortunately.
No, what you've described with Keshi Anderson is pretty much how we talked about Keshi Anderson up until the last 6 months or so, where he did come good. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. We gave him more chances than he probably deserved as fans. Because of those moments of greatness that he could do. And then when he finally, we've got him, he goes and joins Blackpool. So it's one of those things, that's football, isn't it? So, you get good, you get better offers elsewhere. So
we get the manager on our podcast, if you've noticed.
Here he is, Coach Critch.
This.
Go on then, read it out.
I can confirm Keshi is on the grass, and no, not the half-time bongs you keep referring to. Yeah, we have a thing, Richie, where we either have our players seem to have pre-match bongs and start really slowly, like terribly, or half-time bongs where we're doing okay and we come out in the second half and just
play like we're stoned.
Can't get going. So that's what Coach Critch is referring to there. But on the grass, that's one of his kind of phrases, isn't it, for his players coming back? he's back on the grass, which presumably just means the back getting close to full training. And I mean, Keshi's only just back, isn't he? So whether we see him before the end of the season, we'll see. I think it might only be maybe for the last couple of games, possibly.
If his recruitment takes as long as Medine's done, it'll be middle of next season before.
I was thinking that he seems to be going backwards, doesn't he?
Steve Hutchins says Caddis was linked to us in 2012. So there you go.
There you go. He wasn't going to go to you in 2012, was he, Steve? I think it was. Yeah, that was when we won League Two, and I think Ipswich wanted him, and then he fell out with Di Canio and ended up at Birmingham. But he's back with us now for a little while longer. But yeah, terribly nice chap.
Okay, we've just had a quick question coming in from Richard Watt. Hi, Richard. Thanks for the question. This is to you, Rich. What is this debacle going on with Lee Power? Is he an Oyston type clone? For your sakes, we hope not.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take a lot for any club to get close to what happened with Blackpool with the Oystons, to be fair. I think Lee Power had better intentions early on. He had an idea of a model, and that model was driven towards essentially loaning players from teams like Spurs and having good relationships with clubs like Brighton and bringing in their young talent and then selling them on and hopefully doing well in the league. It's not a sustainable model. It's not a model that makes you progress up and up and up and up, because these players will leave or go back to their parent clubs. But it was working to a degree. And then he recruited a guy called Luke Williams, who just simply wasn't, up to it. He had great ideas, but he didn't have the squad really to utilize those ideas, and we got relegated. In modern times, I think he's given up, Lee Power. I think, I don't like doing the, pointing the finger of asset stripping. I just can't see where the money's coming from if he is here.
Just be careful, you could get sued.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Tim got sued for that.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying he did, and that's why I'm saying quite clearly that I don't buy into that. But in the last year or so, we don't hear from him. We didn't hear from him much at all anyway. We don't hear from him. We just get the occasional appointment, and we just sort of ramble on aimlessly. We've got to a situation now where there is somebody who wants to buy the club, and he is a minority shareholder called Clem Morfuni. But they've had a falling out. So Clem Morfuni wants to buy the club, but Lee Power doesn't seem to want to sell to Clem Morfuni. So there's a lot of spite going on behind the scenes from an outsider looking in. I don't think he's here to, here for any longer than he wants to be. There's a redevelopment sort of thing that he's got going on Swindon, which was supposed to be linked to a training ground. Whether that's where his interests lie at the moment, I don't know. But and the biggest problem that we have with Lee Power is he's never disclosed the accounts in his time at Swindon. We don't know anything. So that creates this sort of atmosphere of distrust.
I'm familiar with all this.
Just going to say, yeah.
Don't, man. I don't need this to be an Oyston situation. I really don't. But yeah, I mean, it's like a mini version. It's a diet version of the Oyston situation, we'll say. But I do think it will end eventually if a bid comes in, which is right for him. I don't know how Swindon he came out in the press in February and said there's no wages for March, and then we signed Christopher Missalou for money. It's just we don't know what to believe. That fee may have been 20 grand, 50 grand or whatever, but it's still money. Back when Swindon were in administration in the 90s, they were playing Jimmy Quinn up front, age 40, with like an 18-year-old with him because we had no money. That's poverty. It's not signing someone from Northampton, for a fee. So we just don't know what's going on. We don't know how close we are to the brink. We don't know if we're miles away and perfectly okay. There's lots of rumours relating to a player called Taylor Curran, who is probably not good enough to be a professional footballer, but he's on the bench every week. He plays every now and again. And the rumour is that his dad is essentially bankrolling the club. And the perk of that is that young Taylor Curran gets to play, occasionally. But
what does this remind us of, gents? Which manager's son?
We could pick a couple, couldn't we?
Steve McMahon Jr.
Steve McMahon Jr.
Steve McMahon Jr. Yeah, he went to
Perth Jr.
Oh,
Do you know him? Do you know of Steve McMahon Jr.?
He never got to Swindon because he was too young, but I know he went to Perth afterwards, and he was just as bad for them as well. So, yeah, Steve McMahon Jr.
You were lucky. He kept Keith Southern out of the LDV file, didn't he?
That's right.
Back in the day.
Did you
Craig
win?
Allardyce as well.
Yeah, as I
Craig
mentioned,
Allardyce.
Allardyce, Craig Allardyce. He had a great career after he left us. As an
Mainly
agent.
to do with brown envelopes.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we all want from our owners, and one thing that we seem to have quite a lot more nowadays, is just transparency, isn't it? You just want to know. You don't want to know, the whole unaudited and audited accounts or anything like that. But you just want the dialogue between you as a fan and and an owner just to open up. And when it's closed, like it has been for us, and it is currently for you, there's nothing worse. It's horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, I have a natural distrust of anybody that wants to own a football club they don't support or not from the region. I don't understand why, beyond obviously making some sort of money that in some field that I don't really understand. It's when the next one comes in, I'll be like, my first question to them would be, why are you here? Brilliant, but why? What is the vision? And we've never really had a vision with Lee Power. We had the dreaded 5-year plan, which is just championship within 5 years, which, some people eat up and the rest of us just go, bloody hell, who cares? Just keep us in League One for now. But, oh dear.
The other thing I would say is when you get a fan who's been a fan since the age of 2 knock on your door, give them a very, very wide berth.
Yeah.
Owen Oyston was famed, Rich, for saying he's been a fan since 2 years old. 2 years old. 2 years old. 2 years old. He claimed
Who did he support? Who did he support when he was 1?
Blackpool. Oh yeah. Probably Man United.
Yeah.
Oh, Swindon. I think he was a Swindon Town fan before that.
And I'm glad, because he ditched us for you, so it worked well for us.
Hey, imagine if he puts a bid in for Swindon.
We could send him your way if you want.
I have a feeling they may not be allowed to work in football anymore. I've just got a little.
Don't get too started on that.
Actually, ironically, I was reading the minutes of the EFL meeting with Sean Harvey that we had in 2018 earlier, for reasons I won't go into. And it just made me chuckle reading them back, because how the hell he stayed our owner for as long as he did is beyond me. Just completely in breach of the rules. But anyway, that's another story for another day.
You're getting a bit of sympathy there from Richard Henshaw. Rich. There you go. A Richard to a Richard.
I've got to say, I don't quite believe Dickie Henshaw quite sympathises with our situation at the moment. I think Dickie Henshaw might be mocking me a little bit, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm tired, so I'll take that.
Don't kick a man when he's down, Dickie. Don't kick a man when he's down. Come on. Right, let's get back to the game. So, in the run-up to this game tomorrow, Rich, obviously you've mentioned just before that you've just won 2 in the row, which was a creditable double over one of your rivals, I believe, Bristol Rovers, doing the double.
Yeah, we certainly did. They were.
Are they? Firstly, are they a big rival for you?
No, not really.
No.
It's kind of like, in the terms of the 2 Bristol teams, they're the ones that were kind of more alike. So I think there's a little bit of brotherhood there. I mean, obviously, we don't really like them, but they don't like us.
Oxford? Is it Oxford?
Oh, Oxford's Oxford's the big rival, and then it should be Reading after that. But they've been better than us for over 20 years now, and all the children have forgotten about Reading now. So always weird when you watched Reading on TV in the Premier League, and they'd be singing anti-Swindon songs. It'd be like, oh, we've made it again. We're here. We're back in the big time, via the Medeski Stadium. No, Bristol Rovers, they always bring a lot, and it's a good derby in the sense that it's a good atmosphere. But I don't think either side take either club really that seriously. But in this situation, it would have been a hell of a good atmosphere if there were fans in that, because
both
we
down
are
there as well, aren't you?
Both dreadful, both down there. And the game that we played last week against them it had 0-0 written all over it for the first hour, and then Bristol Rovers had they had a goal disallowed, and I can't, it was the best decision of the season as far as I'm concerned. But whether it was legitimate or not, I'm not going to commit to an answer. But it went our way, and Swindon actually improved as a result of that moment, whereas Bristol Rovers they seemed to sulk about that decision, and they never recovered from it. Swindon sort of galvanised and went on and scored, and then we were better after that.
A Joey Barton team sulking? No.
Can't believe it. Shot to the core, wasn't it? But yeah.
Speaking of Joey Barton, you beat Fleetwood as well the week before that, 2-0.
Yeah, they were dreadful. It's really bad
It's
because
good to hear.
I should just like I've just seen my hair and it looks like Gregor Fisher in that.
It's like you're competing, you and Nick, aren't you?
Oh my god, I'm so sorry, Blackpool fans, and maybe the two weird Swindon fans that have tuned in. What was I saying?
Joey Barton.
Fleetwood, yeah. I mean,
Fleetwood, yeah.
I should always, like, when you win, you should just give your team credit. But one of the things that I've been talking about in the last couple of days is like Fleetwood were dreadful. I don't know what was wrong with them the day we played them, but they offered nothing. It was as comfortable a win as we've had in a good long while. And Bristol Rovers we did okay, but Rovers didn't really offer that much either. And now we've got Blackpool. Now Blackpool will threaten. Jerry Yates will be up for it, and they will, threaten Lee Camp's goal. And I'll be interested to see how those two games motivate Swindon in going into this one, because yes, it's brilliant that we've won 2 games and points over performances, but this is a different kettle of fish now. Playing Blackpool, it's not Fleetwood, whose season are pretty much over. It's not Bristol Rovers, who are dire. It's a team that really wants to go up. So we'll see how we cope with it.
I was just having a quick look at the league tables before you came on, and I've noticed you've scored exactly the same amount of goals as us, 44.
But how many have we conceded?
You've stolen my thunder now. You've stolen my thunder.
Sorry,
You've conceded more than double.
Yes.
More than double. So
if you're going to do it properly.
Facetious here. Is that your Achilles heel this season?
No, we'd like to score more goals. Yeah, yeah. Our defensive line this year has been from the goalkeeper. We've played 7 goalkeepers this year in the league.
Did you say you've got Lee Camp in there?
Lee Camp's, yeah, he just turned
Forest
up.
Goalie.
Yeah, Derby, Forest, Sunderland, all-time worst goalkeeper. But he's actually been very good. What that back four needed was a bit of discipline, a bit of experience, and Lee Camp going in goal with Anthony Grant in the middle was just completely changed, and they're holding the hands of those who have been struggling, which is good. Yeah, the defensive line has been dreadful, and our goalkeeper situation just as much, and that's why we've conceded double as many as Blackpool so far this season. Two clean sheets in the last 2, though. That's how bad we've been elsewhere.
I was just looking back at your fixtures, so your results from the past couple of months or so.
Ooh,
you only seem to be losing games by the odd goal here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not getting hammered.
Nope.
So have you been unlucky in games?
Nope.
No,
not really. Teams have kind of done what they've needed to do, and there have been an element of the fan base that really have wanted us to get a slap in order to put pressure on the manager. And, that's not really the way people should be, but that's football fandom, isn't it? And that, if you lose 6-0, that looks bad. But if you lose 1-0 and it could have gone either way, then maybe teams have not needed to try that hard against Swindon, and they get to their first or their second and they kind of just sit back, and Swindon just dither and don't do that much with it. And that's really how the season has played out, in my opinion. Anyway, we've conceded goals very early on, and we've never fully recovered from that.
Right. So let's come into the game tomorrow then. So, how do you think the game is going to go, and what do you think the score is going to be?
No idea. Thanks for having me. I mean,
you're playing with your tails up, 2 games on the bounce.
Yeah, but we didn't play in the weekend, and that sort of took the momentum away. That was supposed to be Rochdale, but they had 3 under-21s selected, so the game got called off. And I think both teams would have liked to have played that, because Rochdale sort of won and drawn the last 2 games, and we've won at both of ours. But I'm always a bit of a momentum follower. I think, when the going is good, you want to play as many games until that run ends. And the week off ahead of a busy April could be good, could be bad. I have no idea. What I am going into the Blackpool game is I'm absolutely convinced that Jerry will score. whether or not, I mean, on my own preview pod, I said 1-1. What I say in my pod isn't necessarily what I believe in real life, but you've got to be optimistic sometimes, haven't you? But it all depends on how Swindon start. If we concede early on, then we're done. It doesn't matter if it ends 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever the hell we usually do. But Blackpool, haven't lost since the start of Feb against Ipswich.
Come on,
right?
Rich, ye of little faith. Have you seen the way we've played against teams anywhere near the bottom?
Oh, I'll take the 1-1 draw that you guys give to Wimbledon and a couple of others. I'll give that. As long as you don't do what you did.
Got a list of my arm of the
Yeah.
games of the points we've given away.
Well, I could do with some more of that charity.
Lost to Bristol Rovers. Lost to
God, how did you do that? How did you do
know.
that? We haven't even done that.
Half-time bongs.
Awful. Half-time bong, yeah. Well, I don't know what they're doing in the Swindon dressing room. Probably ket or something. I don't know. We're agricultural down there, aren't we, in the sticks? So it's easier to access on the farms, isn't it, than a bit of ketamine. But,
Superb.
yeah. Sorry.
We even struggled against Northampton. Yeah. We even struggled against Northampton
and Rochdale.
I think we lost to Northampton first time round, and then we beat them second time round. I think.
Yeah, we've been bossing games against Peterborough. Did the double over them. Oxford did the double over them.
We beat Hull. It's always annoying when that happens, isn't it? When you beat Hull and then you go and lose to a team. I think we lost twice to Accrington Stanley, who lost 7-0 this season. And you're like, what is going on? This division, this lower league is a farce, isn't it? But it's
miles better than the Premier League, don't it? I love it. I think it's better than the Premier League. It bores me to tears, the Premier League. I've watched very little of the Premier League in this lockdown. But I'd stopped really. It's not like any elitism reason. It's just a different world to what I'm used to now. And the England stuff. Well, England actually had a better atmosphere empty than it did when fans are in, which is
at least there's no that. There's that Sheffield Wednesday band.
Bloody band, yeah.
You're piped in. You were piped in.
I didn't watch the game, so I probably didn't realise.
Yeah, ITV love it.
That's like, what have you done? I was thinking, thank God this band aren't here. But they piped in the replicated audio.
Unbelievable.
They didn't pipe in a piped band, did they? That would have been interesting.
Scotland, maybe.
Yeah, it's been just a slightly diversion, but it's been a weird week with Luxembourg beating Ireland and then Macedonia beating Germany. So
North Macedonia, Matt. North Macedonia.
Yeah, my geography student in the other room will be telling me off as well. But yeah, it just proves that anything is possible, though. So who knows what's going to happen at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
I'm just surprised that Bong and Ket references aren't a detour, but talking about North Macedonia is.
That's the way we roll.
Hell of a podcast you got here, guys.
That's the way we roll. Right, Rich, just before you go, we'll go around the room, we'll do our predictions. Nick, how do you think this game's going to go?
Well, if you look at that, we were just saying how we tend to do against sides who are maybe struggling a bit. It doesn't go too well.
And they've got Brett Pittman up front as well. I guess he's still playing, Rich, is he?
They have, but
he always scores against us.
He does.
I'll go with the Jerry Yates factor as well. And I'm going to go 2-1 Pool.
Matt.
I see us.
Even though you're playing for Swindon tomorrow.
I'm not tomorrow.
He's sent back.
Yeah, you've got another Smith, T. Smith.
Tyler, yeah, you won't be playing.
Yeah, so I'm with Nick. I think it'll be 2-1 as well.
Tim.
Just before I get onto that, Grimmy's texted me and reminded me that when we had the EFL meeting, that I was the Muckers representative, and he says we're very fortunate he's lost his login details to YouTube. Otherwise, he'd be giving it plenty on here. So I just thought I'd mention that. If I looked distracted before, it's because he was texting me. Anyway, back to the game. I actually think we might struggle with this one. I don't know why. You know, when you have a bad feeling. Yeah. Good Friday. Don't tend to do well on bank holiday weekends. I'm going for a 1-0 Swindon win.
3 clean sheets on the bounce. Brett
Pittman to score as well.
Yes, 90th minute. It's going to happen, isn't it?
Yes. Well, listen, there might be a bit of reverse psychology in there by me, but I'm going for a 1-0 Swindon win.
I'm going to go for 1-1 because we're just the 1-1 home team. I think it's going to continue. Is that what you said, Rich, as well?
Can I get a clip of Tim just saying that? I just want to listen to it to put me to sleep. It's given me nice dreams. Just no. I'm gonna say Jerry Yates to put Swindon ahead. Jerry Yates to put Blackpool ahead early on, possibly via the penalty spot.
Yes.
Swindon to equalise just before half-time and then score in about the 89th minute for a 2-1 win.
You won't be the first team to score in the 89th minute, by the way. Yeah.
And there'll be 6 minutes of injury time, and I will lose about 5 years of my life expectancy as a result of it. That'll do.
Right, pot pickers, you're here first. Get your bets on. Right, Rich. Thanks ever so much for joining us. Go and get yourself some sleep. And I really hope you stay up anyway, because it's always a laugh having you on.
Bless you. Thank you for having me, and all the best for the rest of the season, chaps. Hope it goes well.
Cheers, Rich.
Cheers, Rich.
Take care. All the best.
Hey, mate. Bye. Right, that was Rich Pullen from the Loathed Stranger podcast. Thanks. He's a good sport as ever. Right, that was the Swindon preview. Let's now move on to next news.
Good evening.
Wow.
Look at that, eh? Patrons, that's where your dough's going.
That's where your dough's going. On stuff like that, well, I go and get my notes up. So there's only a couple of bits.
So we're going to do next news, then the run-in. So go on.
Yeah,
there's not a lot, is there?
On the schedule, it was the run-in and then next news. Hence why I'm like now trying to find me notes.
I was a bit trigger happy on that next news button. I really wanted to use it.
That was very fast. I'm still searching. Right, I've got it here.
I'll prompt you then. So we've got the Lee Hindley Trophy.
We have,
which is the Muckers 5-side tournament in July.
It is 10th of July at Squiresgate FC. It's going to be a worthwhile cause in memory of Lee, who sadly passed away. Organised by the Muckers, who do a lot of good work for charity. So there's going to be a 5-a-side tournament. It's £5 per entry per player. There'll be barbecue, face painting, plenty of ale, I'm sure. And then all back to the Armfield Club later on with a DJ and hot pot. So even if you're not playing, get down there and get involved. We'll be putting a team out, I believe. John?
We will. Yeah, I've already stuck a team in. So if we've got any ringers out there, Tim, I was speaking to the guys, and apparently you put a load of ringers in for the BST team last time, I believe.
Well, I mean, I was going to say I quite enjoyed the evening do. Going up and picking the trophy up and watching Grimmy chew his wasps. And
were you the manager then, were you, of the BST
I was the manager,
team?
yeah. I was the not player manager either, hasten to add. But he was. It went down really well. BST winning the first tournament, but a load of ringers. It's like just lads who used to play for me. That was all basically, and they're all Bolton boys. And somebody stole the trophy from the thatched house. Can't think who it might have been, but I reckon they lived in FY4.
So who did you have in your team then? A bunch of really fit 21-year-olds?
A bit random, really. They're all basically. Actually, Sam didn't play because he was. I think he had something on with Fleetwood, or he was away, or pre-season tour or something. But yeah, just lads who used to play for me for Sam's team. But we went there, won it nice and easily. No pressure really. It was quite easy win.
What was the what were the games like? Were they serious or just more fun?
Too fast for me to play. That's where you're coming from. Hence my reluctance midweek to sign up to the cause. I think I might offer to hold the magic sponge for if Nick's going to manage.
Yeah, Nick's going to be the manager, aren't you?
We need to get some of these young and thrusting patrons playing. All these 20-year-olds we've got on the patron group and who can run around a bit, unlike us of a certain vintage.
Well, I'm going to play, Tim. Even though I'm in my formative 40s, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring.
That'll end in tears. Have we got St John's ambulance nearby?
Well, you say that, Matt, but let's discuss megging you, Tim, on there at Play Football on Monday night. He opened the gate, Nick, and I just put it through his legs and round him. It was beautiful.
My only surprise,
Beautiful.
was you were still on the pitch, because I'm so used to you hobbling off after 10 minutes that you caught me unawares.
Deep
In
heat
between-
and plenty of pre-match stretching sorted that out.
In between me scoring my usual plethora of goals.
He did score a couple of good goals. It pains me to say. But anyway, yeah. So do stick teams in, listeners. If you're listening to this and you want to get involved, it's all in a great cause, and it'll be a great day, especially after lockdown, all this shit that's going on. So
Yeah.
And to be honest, having been down there myself, even if you don't play, come down and just. I mean, we mentioned maybe getting a patrons piss up, haven't we? And making a bit of a day of it and encouraging people to come down anyway. And just turn up, and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and it's just good. And particularly this year when we've all been locked up for so long, to get out. Hopefully, it's a nice sunny day and bit of football, play Blackpool fans, and you're actually all raising money for a great cause, aren't you?
Absolutely, yeah. Get down there and get involved, folks. And then the other thing is the BST Shirts for Kids initiative. So BST are looking to part fund or significantly fund the purchase of a Blackpool FC shirt for every year 2 child who's in the Blackpool Borough Council area. And it's going to be about 1,500. And obviously it's a significant cost, around about, I think they said £15,000, something like that in total. So they're looking obviously for, if people aren't members, to get involved and help to underwrite the cost of that. And also if people are members, whether you can extend that to a 5-year membership or a lifetime membership to help fund what is a significant amount of money. And we've got a lost generation, haven't we, with what's happened with the boycott. Kids will have grown up and parents haven't been able to take them to Bloomfield Road. And we all know at that young age, you can end up with a Man City shirt or whatever, and not your local team.
Even.
Yeah, and it's a great way of trying to put that right, really. And if they could all get a Blackpool shirt and attend a game, and you've got a good chunk of the next generation there. So it's a very worthwhile thing as well. So
I think one of the things BST have said is that, and I think the specifics of how they're going to do it is still a matter of negotiation, because one of the things I was a bit concerned about, which I flagged up with them, is, are we just going to give every year 2 child a shirt, whether they actually have any interest in football or not? Because that seemed a bit of a waste to me. Or might you go to the schools and say anybody who wants one can have one? Because then you can spread it more. Maybe they could go into filed, maybe they can go into wire. So I think, from what I've heard, I think even within the club, that's a thought process as well. So listen, it's BST are on about making a contribution. I think the club are going to be making a contribution, and presumably bring them in at cost, and maybe even contribute something towards the cost price. So, but the way that anybody can help is, if you want to do it, become a BST Life member, even if you're an existing member, and upgrade, because then your money will go to give them the funds to help to contribute towards that. Or if you can't afford that, go up to 5 years. Anything. This is one time we've all saved a shed load of money this year. If we could all get young kids like they were in the Premier League, all wear the Blackpool shirts and all coming to dragging the dads to the game. That's what we want, isn't it? That's how we're going to get that ground full again. So great initiative. And hopefully it's for next season. So it won't be, because I said you're not going to get by this season's kit, are you, in case they change it. So it's going to be next season's kit. And I think it's brilliant.
I do. It's the way of getting people engaged again, isn't it? Who otherwise, might not be. And like you say, with the Premier League, all of a sudden you just saw kids everywhere with a Blackpool shirt on, whereas prior to that, all of us growing up, there's 1 or 2 of us in the class, weren't there, who supported Blackpool, and it's a great chance to change that and get that sway of support back. So fantastic initiative.
Certainly is. Right, Matt, you are now centre stage, and we're going to be talking about the season running. Listeners, if you want to go to our website, seasiderspodcast.co.uk, Matt's done a great blog post of the season running and his thoughts, and we're going to discuss it now. So Swindon, you've put a win, which we've just discussed.
Yeah.
So obviously that's Friday. Did you say win when we just went round the houses then?
Yeah, at least I was consistent with my own blog, wasn't I? From 48 hours ago. yeah. Although it was funny, really, because I must have just been in a good mood when I wrote this. And I was reading it back earlier on when I was, moaning about my stomach and God knows what else, feeling a bit grouchy, middle-aged man grouchiness. And I just thought, we won't win at Swindon, and now we'll lose at against Gillingham and all this sort of stuff. So if I was writing it probably 6 hours ago, it might be completely different. But however, it's always a bit difficult to do this sort of thing because we obviously don't have a crystal ball, and there's so many factors that could change, with injuries and players coming back even and opposition things going on as well. So it's all a bit sort of, finger in the air job, isn't it, really, doing it, especially with these 11 games left, which is almost a quarter of the season, really. It's mad, isn't it, that we're in April and we've got a quarter of the season to play. I sort of put it out there anyway, and obviously it's there to have a look at, as John mentioned, on the website, and you'll find it on Twitter feed and Facebook and all those sort of places as well. So I just basically did a game at a time, as you do in true sort of manager cliche. And I'll quickly rattle through it if you want. How do you want to do this, John? Do you want me just to literally say who we're playing and what my prediction is? Or
have you two all got it up on the screen, Nick, Tim?
I've got it on my phone here. Yeah.
Okay. I'll say the same. Maybe we could do one at a time. So should we start with Swindon? Obviously, you've said they've played abysmally against Gillingham recently, and I think that despite the last two results, we'll go there with fresh legs and ambitions of 3 points. We've cut that off. So how do you know they played abysmally against Gillingham? I'm just
I was fortunate. I don't know if that's the right word, to watch Swindon versus Gillingham. I think they must have kicked off early when we were playing either on a Tuesday night or something. Maybe sometimes the game's going at 5 o'clock or 5:30, aren't they? Or it was a Saturday lunchtime or something. And it was the game, and obviously Rich is gone now, but it was the game where Swindon put 5 substitutions on at the same time.
Who does that?
Well, exactly, yeah. And I was thinking, when it happened, I instantly thought of you, Tim, and how you would have
madness,
how you would have commented on it. But they were absolutely shocking, and Gillingham, we know, were a decent outfit, but they were absolutely horrendous that day, Swindon, and that was. I don't know whether Rich mentioned whether that was the first game of John Sheridan or whatever, but anyway, that's what sort of stuck in my mind, despite the fact that they've won the last couple of games. Admittedly, like Rich mentioned earlier, against a poor Bristol Rovers and a middle of the table, nothing to play for, seemingly Fleetwood outfit. So I think there will be a bit of a Jerry Yates factor tomorrow, and that's why I put us down to win.
So we move on to Gillingham. You've put Gills a very good sign, and in Verdane and Oliver, they're the real threat up front. Gills drew a table-topping Hull last week and beat Lincoln recently too. So they've beaten some top side. I like this bit you put at the end. I think we'll find it incredibly tough against the master of shithousery, Steve Evans.
Yeah.
Nick, you're nodding your head there.
Yeah, it's one of those games, isn't it? He's one of those managers. We saw early in the season, didn't we, what he's about and how his team plays, and it'll be difficult, I think. And I've just got a bit of a bad feeling about this one that they'll, like you've put there with the Steve Evans shithousery. I mean, they've got some good players. The lad up front's a decent player, isn't he? Oliver, and I think they're going to make it tough for us. It's not going to be pretty to watch, I don't think. And just a bit of a horrible feeling about this one, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. But
I mean, just talking about watching games, they played Wigan on the Wednesday, wasn't it? And because there was no other games on, I managed to just sort of quickly see a glimpse of that as well. And to be honest, Wigan were actually the better side, apart from the first 10 or 15 minutes and the last 10 or 15 minutes. So they're definitely beatable, but they just play so. They've got a style of play which is so direct and obviously works for them, that it's just how we can cope with it. And I was thinking about how we didn't cope against Burton in the first half, but then how we seemingly mastered it in the second half. So that's why it's going to be a tricky game, because there's a lot of factors, and it's how we're going to play, because we know how well Gillingham are going to play. They're not going to change. They'll just play their same way.
Tim, how do you think, Gillingham? We'll go around the houses. How do you think we're going to do against Gillingham, Tim?
I've got the same concerns that everybody else has, and it seems to be the same concerns coming out on the feed as well. In that they're just like the way Gillingham play. I think is difficult to combat, and they've got a manager who is fairly savvy, isn't he? And we've got to impose ourselves. My concern was we seemed to do brilliantly against the top sides. And Gillingham, to be fair, are up there, aren't they? They're actually ahead of us in the league at the moment. But they are like the Wimbledon of the First Division stroke Premier League 15, 20 years ago, aren't they? They are direct, they are in your face, they are tough in the tackle, they play a very direct style of football, and it's just how we're going to cope with that. I think if we're going to do our best against them, we've got to have the best centre-back partnership out there that we can possibly have. And I think that'll be when we played them last time, if you remember, we had, no disrespect to him, but he ain't a centre-back in my book, and that's Nottingham. And Pateta, who was struggling to get to grips with playing for Blackpool with him. Yeah. And if we've got Ballard and Gretterson or whoever, and we've got a solid back.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Big Marv might be back.
Yeah, Marv, he might be. I think it might be a little bit early for him to start in if he is back. I think if they're more likely to play Ballard and Gretterson and or Turton, aren't they? I suspect. But if we've got a strong back line and we try and take the game to them and do that pressing game at the other end, then I think we've got a chance of result. But my concern is, particularly as we get towards the business end of the season, are we going to sit back? I want us to keep going gung-ho and want us to go at teams. We didn't do it against Plymouth, maybe because we were knackered and we paid the price, where in the previous two games, teams can't live with us. When we play that high-pressing game, they can't live with us.
Funnily enough, I think we're going to beat them, Gillingham.
I feel more confident after watching them against Wigan than I did prior, because I did this right up prior to watching that. And like I say, Wigan, who were obviously bottom or thereabouts, gave them problems. So, that's why I think now that they're a bit more beatable. But I'll still stick with me. I put a draw down as a result. Yeah, and I think it's one of those that must not lose is how we can, sort of entitle that. Because, we want Gillingham obviously to finish below us without stating the bloody obvious. But it's one of those that if they win, and they're on a bit of a roll at the moment, and, we don't want to lose our own momentum. If we don't get a result on,
does anybody know who they've got tomorrow?
Who? Gillingham?
They don't play because they played Wednesday.
Oh, right.
So they've got a few days rest, which is.
I remember them saying actually.
Yeah.
On the third tier.
Yeah. So, which is why I think a draw is, in isolation, is a good result against Gillingham.
Right, Matt. Let's move on to Lincoln away. Michael Appleton's Lincoln City.
Yeah.
Nick, you can come into Matt after this, after Matt's introduced it.
Yeah, so Lincoln are a funny, inconsistent side despite the league position, aren't they, at the moment? So they seem to have lost a bit of momentum and sort of impetus. And
lost 3 out of 6.
Yeah, it's a funny one, but I think because they seem to struggle. They seem to struggle at home. Then they seem to be like us in a way, don't they? Struggle at home and. In recent times anyway, and do very well away from home. But we go to their place, and I've got us to win that game. I think we'll be confident if we come out of this weekend, put it that way, undefeated. So that's what I've gone for.
Yeah, I feel a bit more confident about this one. Like we've said there, they've been a bit inconsistent of late. Was the last game cancelled due to COVID as well? Did I read?
Next one's called off.
Friday and Monday are off.
Yeah, so obviously that's going to impact it if a few players out. So, not great memories of going to Lincoln. I don't think I've ever seen us
got horrific memories from Sinsel Bank, haven't we?
Yeah. But I think we'll get a win. I think we'll get a win.
We're beating in FA Cup. Didn't we? If I remember rightly, was it 3-1 or something like that?
Aki at home, Matt. after that.
Yeah, I mean, Aki, we've mentioned before about the squad sort of size and how, well, at what point in the season it'll catch up with them. And it seems to be, happening, doesn't it? They've got a lot of injuries. And whilst they've got, Dion Charles up front, who obviously, is a threat, they are struggling for bodies on the pitch. It's as simple as that. I think when they got battered last week against Peterborough, they actually finished with 10 men due to injuries and what have you. So I think we'll be hopefully better than they are on the day, and I've got us to win that one. I think it's one of those we would definitely earmark as a 3-point win. Tim,
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually quietly confident. I don't know why. I'm never confident, but I do think they're struggling. The size of their squad. They for what I read, they've got injuries a little bit like we've got at the moment, but they can't cope with it. Where we've probably been able to cope a lot better because of the size of the squad. In some respects, we play better as a result of some of the people who are out injured who otherwise might have been an automatic starter. So I feel a fairly comprehensive win coming in that one. 3-0.
Right, Matt, this is the Sunderland at home game. I've noticed you've put defeat both of these. So give us your thoughts on that, and Nick, you can come in after.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sunderland are flying, aren't they? And they are a good team. Somebody like Aidan McGeady in the squad, he brings the quality, and Charlie Wyker, he scores every game, it seems, at the moment, doesn't he? So we're going
5 out of 6 as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do well against the better side, but this might be a bridge too far for us in that respect. So I put us down to lose both times against Sunderland. We only play them 10 games apart, which is, I don't know whether that's did we rearrange this fixture at all, or is it just the way it's fallen, the 10 days apart?
Rearranged.
Yeah.
Was it over Christmas we were supposed to be playing them?
Yeah, that's right. I think it was. Yeah, Boxing Day, or just before Christmas, rather, wasn't it? About 12th, I think. So, yeah, so I've got us down to lose both those games against Sunderland, primarily because they're in. They just look a good outfit, and we've got to really bring our A game if we're going to get anything. Okay,
Nick, just to temper Matt's 2 defeats there, or to give an alternative point of view, maybe. We fare well against the top teams.
We do, and I think certainly for the home
more
game,
chance going away. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think we can get a draw, if not a win, at home and away. We do play well against the better teams. Whether there's a bit more space and it allows us to play our game. And it's weird, isn't it, to feel more confident against the top teams you do against the bottom teams. But you look at the season and that's how the results have panned out. So, going to Sunderland when there's a crowd of 30,000, it's a different story, isn't it? But there isn't going to be that. So that's a massive leveler. And yeah, they're doing really, really well. But I think we can get something in both games, whether that's 3 points or a point in each, or a win and a draw. I don't know, but I don't feel like it's oh God, we're going to be hanging on, because we just seem to turn up against the top teams. So I feel relatively optimistic for those two.
Can I just add? I know I'm not meant to. I'll do this one, but
that's fine.
You are the prophet of doom, Matt, with those predictions. As soon as I saw it, I thought, no way are we losing both of those games. And I'm actually with Nick. I actually think we're going to get 4 points out of those 2 games.
Ooh.
I'll put my marker down
coming
now.
from the prophet of doom as well.
I know. I'll put my marker down now. We're going to beat them away and draw at home.
I will gladly be wrong. I absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. But when we get to the end of this, I mean, it'd be great if we went through the rest of the season virtually unbeaten. But I just had to see us losing somewhere in the last 11 games.
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean.
I thought you were a bit. I thought you'd been a bit optimistic, because obviously I'm quite. There's certain games we're not going to win every one. There's no shadow of a doubt. But I think you've put us down for winning too many of those. But I think you've been too pessimistic on the Sunderland. And I don't think we're going to get as many points as you think we're going to get, but I think it'll be enough to get us in the playoffs. So but I think 4 points against Sunderland, because I've got a mate who's a Sunderland fan, and if we can stop Aidan McGeady, we can stop Sunderland. That's you stop him, you stop Sunderland. Is what I hear.
Could be a big game for somebody like Kenny Dougal, then perhaps, if that's what his job might is. Or 2 games.
Pocket. So what's going to happen? We're going to do the double over Sunderland, and then we're going to lose to Rochdale, and we're going to lose to Shrewsbury at home.
Well, that's
Exactly.
football, isn't it? And that's the way it works. I was saying the other day on the pod, you look at the games and we go and we win 2 where you're thinking, well, we'll maybe only get a point, and then you're like easier home games, and you draw against teams you think you're going to beat. That's football, isn't it? And it happens every season, doesn't it? It never works out the way you think it will.
Yeah. So, Matt, with Rochdale, where you've said they've got an absolutely terrible defence. You've put it's a mystery why they're in the bottom floor, considering they played so well against us. But then actually, it's not because they can't defend. Could be a field day for Jerry.
Well, hopefully. I mean, they're obviously down there for a reason, and it's much like Swindon. They can seemingly score your average amount. And
67 conceded, the highest in the division.
There you go. So I'd like to think that they're not going to. Well, I know we don't score bucket loads, but a 1-0 away win at Rochdale will do us nicely. So. Yeah, I think we'll get maximum points. And I put from Scotland, and I thought, is it still called Scotland these days? Am I just showing my age? I have no idea.
It is.
If anybody knows.
Is it Crown Oil Arena or something nowadays? I don't know, but yeah, Scotland to me is what I always call it the original name.
Yeah,
Tin Pot Arena.
We don't have a great record there, though, do we?
I was just about to say when we went, Nick, didn't we? When it was roasting hot, we didn't even have a shot on target all game.
Yeah, it's another one where we've not done very well, and we're going back to again FA Cup early 90s. We lost, and
I was at the infamous game in about 84, 85 when they were turning cars over on Spotland Road and yanking people off motorbikes, and it was a bit rum.
Yeah,
I think we lost that one as well, if I remember rightly. Even though we got promoted that year, I think we lost 2-1, if I remember rightly. So
this away, this could be a hoodoo. Then it could be. It could be the Rochdale hoodoo. You've got us winning, Matt, haven't you?
I've got us winning, yeah. But it's funny, really, because I don't know if it's the no fans thing, but a lot of these records that we had recently, we don't win there or whatever, they seem to have, happened like MK Dons, we don't win there, and we've won in the first time in 5 years, whatever it's been. A couple of others that I can't think of at the moment, but I know it's sort of happened this year. So
the no fans thing's a leveler. You're right.
It is.
We're going to hammer them. Yeah. So Shrewsbury at home, you've got us drawing. That's probably about right.
Yeah. Well,
Penny for your thoughts.
Well, this is the one where I thought this is the Plymouth game again, isn't it? Or the Wimbledon game again. It's going to happen at some point, isn't it? Where we're going to be, either running out of steam or ideas or whatever. And I think Shrewsbury are okay. They're a decent side. And I put in my little comment about Steve Cottrell. He's managing from his front room or his bed or wherever he is at the moment because he's still stricken with COVID. So I've just put it could be a really frustrating one, this one, and I put us down as a draw on this particular one.
Anyone like to pass comment on that?
Yeah, I'm a bit the same. It's like we've just been saying, I'm more confident probably about Sunderland than I am about Shrewsbury. Just because of the way it's gone this season, it's a weird one, isn't it? And I think it's one where we might end up only picking up a point, but we'll see. We'll see.
They're much improved, to be fair, aren't they, Shrewsbury? I think they are doing okay. They're sort of mid-table. They're not going to go up, not going to go down. I think by the time we play them, hopefully they're already on their UK. I was going to say on a sunbed, but they won't be in a sunbed because they'll be on the UK somewhere with a windbreak around them and a thick duffel coat on.
Maybe an ex-Shrewsbury top league goal scorer will help us that game. Do you know who that is?
Ex-Shrewsbury top goal scorer.
Top goal. He finished top goal scorer. I think it was 2017, perhaps 2018. I might be wrong.
Kai.
Sully Kai. Yeah.
Knowledge, Nick. Well done.
Well done, mate. There you go.
Right, so we've done Sunderland, Northampton away. Surely we're going to win this. Surely.
Well, yeah, you'd like to think so. I know that when we played them, Keith Kerr was in charge, and he's obviously gone since. Not quite sure who's in charge of them, if I'm honest. But I think it's more the fact that they are still near the bottom. They've got a really, really tough looking set of fixtures prior to playing us. And I just think at that point they might have almost, they could potentially have been gone. So I'm hoping that we'll have enough. We'll still have something to play for, whereas they might not. Who knows? So I've got us down for a win at Northampton on that one.
Nick, Tim, thoughts?
Yeah, same as Matt. I think hopefully we'll win that one. I don't think they'll have enough for us. I think we'll get 3 points in that one. Pretty confident.
We're away from home, so we've got to win.
Yeah.
Donny at home, Matt. You've got that as a draw.
Yeah, I've got it down as a draw because it's difficult to predict where they're going to be as well, isn't it, at this point of the season? And it could be, it could be one of those
at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, but it could be a tactical sort of a draw. If both sides are in the playoffs, comfortably, who knows? But I think so long as we don't lose the game, it's another one of those, isn't it? We don't have any halftime bongs like we did at their place. I think we'll be all right, but I have got us down to draw that particular game.
I think we're going to win that one. I think it's going to be a massive game because it will be at that point of the period of the season. I think we're both going to be needing the points, and I think that's going to be a game when we're going to turn up and we're going to have some more key players back. So I fancy us for that. Tim, what do you think?
I've also half a feeling that there might be the odd game where they let some fans in before the end of the season. We might a couple of those games at the end of the season. I'm not saying it'll happen, but I've just heard a couple of whispers that there might be some more. There might be some more trial games. So
Did you see? Sorry, Tim. I don't know if you saw I posted on the group today. I think the FA Cup semi-final, Leicester Southampton at Wembley. They're letting. When's that? Is it mid-April?
Yeah, it's about the 16th or 17th of April or so. 18th of April, isn't it? The day after the rules change, I think.
They're letting 4,000 in for that.
Did it say locals?
You've got to be in the local area, obviously.
They'll all be like NHS workers, won't they? And key workers, I think.
Yeah, but it's a step in the right direction, isn't it? Like you say, maybe before the end of the season, we'll be back in and then full house for the playoff games final.
Where were we then? Doncaster anyway, Nick. What did you think we were going to do?
Yeah, I mean, they're there or thereabouts like us, aren't they? So it's I think it might be a cagey one, this, if they're still in with the shout and we're still in with the shout. Matt's got it down as a draw. I think I'd tend to agree with them. I think that one could end up being a draw.
How is it that you look at every time I look at the last 5 or 6 games, they won 1, drawn 1, and lost 3, but they keep staying in the playoffs.
No, it's weird, isn't it?
It's bizarre. They must. I mean, they just keep. But there are a lot of teams up there, aren't there? We've got Lincoln, we've got Portsmouth, Peterborough, and them, and they're all struggling form-wise, aren't they? And Hull on a great run. So it's going to be a very interesting period because a lot of them are playing each other, and nobody's on. Pompey have picked other than Sunderland, who sort of kept going. There's nobody really on a mega run of form up there.
No, this is why it makes it so difficult, doesn't it, to predict what the hell's going to happen? Because like you say, no one's going in with a run of 3 or 4 straight wins behind them. Portsmouth look like they've got a bit of a mini sort of manager bounce, don't they? Because the Cowley brothers are in, and Hull, they're seemingly always top, but they lose a few. And
listen, if we knock out those, I always said it's not just saying it now. If you knock out those first 9 games when we didn't have a proper team, we are the form team throughout the rest of the season. We are the top points per game side over not 5 games, not 10 games, not 20 games, but about 27. And I think sometimes we are. Well, most certainly, I'm rather negative as regards our prospects, and not as negative as you, Matt, against Sunderland. But I do think
it's only 2 out of 11.
I know. You were, yeah.
He didn't like that, did he, Matt? He did not like that.
No. I thought he was too. But equally, I wouldn't have given us. I don't think we're going to get 78 points. I think we'll end up with about 76.
Yeah.
So you must be you've also got a streak of positivity somewhere.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was in a less grouchy mood yesterday when I wrote this.
It's going to be piss funny if they beat us both times, though, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you'll come back on and give it plenty.
Oh dear.
I think I've got like a bug bite on my leg. It's really itchy. Oh. Right. Bristol Rovers at home, the season finale. Wouldn't it be great if we had to win and send Joey Barton down and us into the playoffs?
Yeah.
If he's still in a job.
If he's still there, yeah. I mean, I noticed that I was listening to the third tier, and he possibly could be on his way to Preston, couldn't he? For
That'll be hilarious.
So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Bristol Rovers, by the time we play them, their season could be well and truly over, which could be great. We might need a win to secure a playoff, which makes things possibly a little bit easier. But who knows? We could even be in the playoffs at that particular point. And then do we think about resting players, which I know is always a bit dangerous, isn't it? I think as you go into playoffs. So I think we'd want to finish the season irrespective on a high. So I've got us to win that one. I think hopefully there'll be 18 places plus maybe between us at that particular point. So yeah, it'll be nice.
I'm still scarred by 1996, and where we played 3 of the bottom 4, I think it was, in the last 3 games, and didn't beat any of them. So when any of those games and we'd have gone up. But I do think we'll beat Bristol Rovers last game of the season. 2-0.
Yeah, I had 2-0 in my head as well. Hopefully they've not got anything to play for, because it is dangerous at the end of the season. If a team are fighting for survival, you do get silly results every season. And Barton's had a pretty poor start, hasn't he? Which makes me scratch my head why he's linked with the Preston job, but we'll see on that one. Well, now if he goes there and Agent Barton, happy days.
Dick Barton, he was an agent, wasn't he?
Yes, I think a comfortable home win for that one.
Yeah.
Who remembers that game? Was it 1991 where Bristol Rovers came to town and they had to win to go up or win the championship?
I think they were all, they were there or thereabouts, weren't they? Already up, or
6,000 of them.
Yeah,
was it when they had Gary Penrice up front?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Ollie played as well, I think.
Yeah, there's something on YouTube. The game's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah,
somewhere?
it is. It's horrible, like, in your own ground when you're outnumbered and there's fans on the pitch and stuff. It's a hard one, isn't it?
Mm.
So yeah, let's hope we're going to flip that on its head anyway. Right, Matt, thanks a lot for doing that.
No problem. I'll just surmise that I put. So I've got us to win 6, draw 3, and lose 2. Probably in completely the wrong order that I put it in on that, but that'll see us hopefully into the playoffs anyway. Fingers crossed.
Then the glorious promotion for the playoff kings at Wembley to bring a shit year down. Shit lockdown.
There's a couple of people said, would you rather go up this year when you're not quite ready, or would you rather go at next year with a proper squad and
a full house? Yeah,
and play and be back watching the team and really get behind them and get some momentum going. So a bit of a conundrum there.
Yeah,
there's pros and cons, isn't there? But I think ultimately, if we did, we've got an owner and a board who
will invest.
Yeah, exactly. We'd do what we needed to do for the next division, and you'd miss out on not being there to see it happen, but we wouldn't be coming straight back down for me. So, I think overall you'd probably take it.
No,
it might not come around again. You never know, do you?
Yeah,
Steve Hutchinson's just said the same, and to take the opportunity while you can, because it's all right talking theoretically that you will be a promotion chasing next year, but the reality is you don't know, do you? Nobody knows.
No.
And even the coach wants it. No conundrum promotion. Of course you do. You grasped it with both times.
Absolutely, yeah.
No, to be fair, you do.
The coach is saying, where is your winning mentality, Tim?
It was a discussion point, coach. It wasn't my view, I hasten to add. I was saying it was what was being. I saw it referenced somewhere. I can't remember where now.
Trust the process, Tim.
Trust the process. Yeah.
Right. On that note, I think we'll go. We're on an hour and 20. And time flown by. Right. viewers, listeners, thanks ever so much for joining us this evening. We've got an action-packed Easter programme coming for you. We've got the 6:06 tomorrow post-Swindon match, and we've also got the Gillingham post-match on Monday. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy period for us all anyway. So enjoy your Easters, everybody. Eat, drink, and be merry. So thanks, Tim, for coming on, and see you in the next couple of days, hopefully.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Matt, for your outstanding blog.
You're welcome. No problem.
And thanks, Nick, and we'll see you all over the weekend.
My pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Please like, please subscribe. All that has to be said is thanks for watching. Thanks for downloading Up the Pool.
Up the Pool.
Up the pool.